Hi guys, it's Friday evening. It's quite late, nearly 11 o'clock, and I am just starting this video because it's the weekend and I don't have any particular plans this weekend. The weather is supposed to be quite nice, so I'm kind of hoping that I might actually go out to town. I've spent most of the last month, most of February, I've been quite ill, so I haven't been able to leave the house at all, and I really could use a nice day of just hanging around, going to Waterstones, having a nice lunch, maybe going to a few different shops and looking for some things that I'm needing to get. I just have like a proper kind of self-care day, maybe pick up a few of the new books that are out or came out in February that I haven't had a chance to go for. Other than that, my plan for this weekend, otherwise my bookish plans for this weekend are to try and get through some of the books that I have started a while ago, and that I'm enjoying, but I keep getting distracted by other books that, yeah, it's the joys of being a mood reader. I just keep picking up other books that I want to start that instead. And I'm also, other than excuse me, other than just being a mood reader, I definitely go through phases where I prefer a certain format of book over another. So some days I'm in very much a paperback mode and I just want to curl up on the couch and hold a paperback. Other times I just want to sit and read a hardback book, and in other times, like, I do go through phases where I really do enjoy my Kindle. So because I wasn't well during most of February, I actually I couldn't see, is what happened, and for the very first time I had visual migraines, which is terrifying if you've never experienced that before, which I hadn't. It came on quite suddenly, and I'd woken up on the Wednesday morning 2 weeks ago, meant to start work, and I couldn't see, my eyes wouldn't focus, and I had the terrible migraine headaches as well. So that was kind of the start of it. It is unfortunate that it's linked to having fibromyalgia, and I just hope that I have been doing everything that I need to do in terms of letting myself get plenty of rest, not pushing myself too hard, not trying to take on too much anymore, and just allowing myself to listen to what I need when I'm tired. I'm letting myself sleep when I can. Obviously I do work a full-time job, so that's not always possible, but trying to practice self-care as much as possible, which for me definitely includes plenty of downtime, plenty of time in the house reading, and occasionally I like to go into town to have like a nice day, get coffee, go look for books, do a little bit of shopping, and nothing too strenuous. So yeah, that's been a bit of it. Unfortunately, because I couldn't see, I wasn't really, it was quite annoying because I wasn't obviously then able to read physical books, read text, which is probably usually when if I get sick, usually if I'm not well, that's the one thing that allows me to kind of get through being ill, is that I can still sit and read. And not being able to do this was really, really, really frustrating. So yeah, I really just hope that I don't repeat that again. But as I started to get better, one of the things that I was doing is I was listening to a lot of audiobooks. So I do use the Libby app. This isn't a sponsored video, it's not affiliated with them in any way, it's literally just I found it through other people on Instagram and that, and I loved it. Like I think years ago I tried to get it and it wasn't, I couldn't get it to link up or something, but now I've been able to get it, and I've got it with my with the Glasgow libraries, and I'm able to get not absolutely everything that I want, but I'm able to get most of the kind of current books that I've been looking at, not necessarily buying, but I would be curious to read them, or I want to read them, and I've just been getting them on the audiobook version. They do have the e-reader version, but I have so many books on my Kindle as it is. I really don't need to add more to it. I do love audiobooks when I'm in the phase where all I want to do is audiobooks and crochet, or audiobooks and playing video games. That's definitely that's something that I need to acquire more of, because I try to avoid the big companies essentially. I just feel it's just it got too expensive. The selections were good, yes, but it got too expensive, and if using the Libby app means that it does kind of go towards actually helping libraries and helping engagement with libraries, then all the better for that. Plus for me, then it's actually free. Even though sometimes they only have 1 or 2 copies of a particular audiobook in, so you do have to wait a certain amount of time to get it, but in the grand scheme of things, like since I started using it, I want to say maybe back in September or something, I have not gone at all without at least one audiobook to listen to. There's always been something. There's even some ones that nobody has borrowed them yet, so they're available right then and there to listen to. So I've been able to start a couple of series that I wanted to start, but just didn't necessarily have the downtime to sit and actually start reading the physical book either on Kindle, which I did get rid of Kindle Unlimited last year as well, so I haven't had that. But the audiobooks are great, especially when I'm in that phase where if my hands aren't hurting too much and I want to just work on my crocheting, like my blanket or my big scarf at the moment, then I can do that. Or if I'm in a particularly slightly more awake mode and I want to actually play some video games, then if it's not too intense a game, like for playing like Dreamlight Valley or something, or Animal Crossing, one where you don't really need to be as engaged with like the audio or that, so I can listen to an audiobook quite fine with that. Even I've actually started even using it sometimes when I've been playing The Sims, because I can play The Sims for a very long time, and last year I did actually finish a 10-hour audiobook over one night, because I just stayed up all night playing The Sims, which is not necessarily healthy, but sometimes it's good. It's good for the soul, even if it's not good for the body, mind, sleep, you know. So I'm still recovering. I'm not 100% yet, but I am just excited about the prospect of a little bit of sunshine tomorrow. And that is literally the only thing that's, other than the things that are in the town, that I would be going for. The thought of having a bit of sunshine and being out in a wee bit of daylight and sunshine is what's making me want to actually go out tomorrow. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, I did go through a little bit of a phase again with going back to my lovely Kindle, and at the moment I'm reading The Pursuit of Italy by David Gilmour. This is simply because I love Italy, like that's without a shadow of a doubt. I do love Italy, but I have studied so much of how Rome was formed, so the ancient history, how Rome, the mythologies around how Rome started. I've studied so much of, starting from like the Roman kings, then going into like the formation of the Republic as well, then into the Roman Empire. Done all of that, done all the Caesars, done all the, the mythology and the actual ancient history of Rome, up until as far as the kind of the fall of Western Rome, so like the sort of 5th century. But beyond that, I I'm a little bit fuzzy about how the rest of Italy, you know, came about. So yeah, my knowledge for the last sort of 1500 years of Italy was, you know, less than there, essentially. I think the most that I sort of would know from is about the 1500s, when you had the Medici in Florence and Leonardo da Vinci, and I can tell you that that is 1000% because of playing Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood and Revelations, the Ezio trilogy. That is where my sort of Renaissance understanding came from, which is always something I wanted to like learn more about, but because I've been studying so much history and I've been trying to do it in as much a chronological way as possible, so I've been like starting from the ancient history for like so many different areas, like of the sort of Western world, and then going further east as well. But there's so much about the ancient world that you know, still to learn, that then it's hard to sort of move forward with it because there's always more things about the past. I just love history. So yeah, but I wanted to get more of that. So this one is really going back to basics. This one does go back way back to the parts that I recognise. Then it starts to take you forward. There is another book that I want to get as well. It is called The Archipelago, I think. Yeah, so I will maybe put that here if I can. So that one is, I think, from Italy from 1945 onwards. So that's next on my list to get for that. And the reason why the thing is, I do love non-fiction books. Like, I have so many fiction books to read as well, but I just love non-fiction books so much too. They do take that bit longer to read, I find. Like, I'm just that little bit slower reading non-fiction because obviously there's a lot more that you have to pay attention to and far less white space than there is in fiction novels. But my reasoning behind actually getting this on Kindle, aside from the fact that non-fiction books, fiction books have got expensive, but non-fiction books have like just skyrocketed in price. I got this, The Pursuit of Italy, I think I got this for a fiver on Amazon for Kindle, so I got that and I was quite happy with it, and it is because of what happened with my eyes lately. And again, as much as I love non-fiction books tend to run their text a lot smaller than fiction books, and even some fiction books are very small with their writing too. I especially get upset when you started a series, it uses one type of font at one size, then you go on to the next books. I get it, a lot of times, you know, the books are getting thicker as they go, so they have to look at cost and then reduce it. But as someone who is in her mid-30s, who's had, you know, glasses for at least half her life and is now running the risk of potentially occasionally getting these visual migraines, I have to try and take care of my eyes as much as possible. So that means not forcing myself to read text that is too small for me, that I, you know, will hurt myself if I try and read it. So I got this book on Kindle, and I've marked the other book, The Archipelago, that I will get that on Kindle as well, and possibly going forward, I may revert to getting most of my non-fiction books on Kindle now, simply because I can change the size of the font. I did actually, I always read Kindle on quite a small font, but this, now, if you can see that, so that, I know some people do read it even bigger again, but to me this is pretty big, and like to have the space between the lines as well, just to help my eyes kind of focus a bit better, so they're not jumping across, losing where I am on the page. So yeah, it's a little bit annoying because I do love reading. I do love reading a physical copy of a non-fiction book, but it's where we're at the moment. and we'll see how it goes from there. At least I do appreciate that I'm fortunate enough that I excuse me, I can switch to a different medium to actually read my books, and then that I've been able to actually buy the books on Kindle as well is also a privilege, so I do recognise that, and I'm just glad that I will still be able to read, so that is the most important thing for me. In other news, I started, obviously January was January, February was just a sick month for me, and I did start watching Grey's Anatomy again back maybe the end of January, I think, and it still is absolutely devastating. I've seen it all the way through once before. At the time, I think we were up to season 13 at the time when I first started it. So I'd watched it all the way through then, and then I've been watching it every year since. But although I maybe don't remember absolutely everything that happens in it, it is funny when I start to watch it again, and then I start to recognise and go, oh, I remember this now. This is just about to get real. So I've been, oh yeah, it's been hard. It's been tragic, and it is a kind of comfort show, which is good. But I kind of got to the point where it was like, this is getting too heartbreaking again. I need something that is proper comfort show. So one of my top comfort shows from the last 25 years, alongside obviously Gilmore Girls, was a big one. My other comfort show was The West Wing, which I think I didn't start The West Wing until long after it was finished, so it was about April. Was it April? So it was early-ish, or like kind of spring 2011 was when I watched it, because I had moved into my first little flat, and I had watched Gilmore Girls and The West Wing were the only two shows at that time that we actually had on box set, because this was long before I had access to any streaming sites, and I had acquired The West Wing off a family member, and I started the first season, and I was like, I'm not sure, like I saw, like, I think in college we got to see like the opening scene of the first episode, and I thought, actually, this could be interesting. Like, it was never, some sort of law thing, politics, and that was never really something that I was into. But at that point, again, lack of streaming services, I think I'd watched like all my DVDs 1,000 times over. I was absolutely broke. I couldn't go to the cinema, and I just had like my little house, and I needed something to kind of occupy my time, give me something to watch and look forward to. So I started The West Wing, and yeah, it's just been nothing but love since then. And again, I've watched that over and over and over and over and over again. And yeah, so the other night I was just really in the zone for it. I've got a few other box sets I have, but I'm just not quite in the zone for them at the moment. Streaming has just got a bit at the moment for me. I did cancel some subscriptions, so I'm down to, I think, one service right now. Other than, I've got History Hit as well, which I do love. Not an ad, but I do love History Hit. But I can only watch that on my PC or laptop or iPad. It's not available as an app on the PlayStation yet, which I really, really hope that they do or are able to rectify at some point, so that I can actually just watch it on the TV. But I love all of that, but I kind of have to be in the zone for that. When you want like an actual drama, The West Wing. And obviously as the years go by, it gets more and more fantastical than real life. So it was good to start that again, and the banter, the witticisms, the way that the characters just play off each other, the jokes, the everything in it. Like I love it so much. Like it just really makes me happy. And every time that I watch it, like there's another facet that I missed. There's another like level of jokes, or there's another something in it that I missed all the previous times. And the more that you kind of like go through it, like you find all these other actors that you've maybe seen like in another show since in between since the last time that you had watched The West Wing. So being able to see like that's where certain actors got like their first start from. So that's quite amazing. The other thing that is slightly jarring as well is when they talk about certain of the political proposals and discussions and topics and themes that are now, you know, law, that are now acceptable, whereas back then it was still very much a yeah, we're not sure where we're going to, how we're going to talk about this, if we're going to talk about this. Like, we want this, we do, we just don't know that the public is ready for us to go through with this. We don't know if we're going to get the support for it, the votes for it, whereas it's things now that we're like, yeah, we've got this. It's great, it shows that there has been progress, but obviously, as we can see, there's a lot of backpedaling now. There's a lot of things that have progressed in the last 25 years that are now starting to slip back the way. More than 25 years, like to the last 50, 100 years. The attitudes, the perceptions, and there's like a stagnation with progress for a lot of things right now, which is quite, you know, it's really unfortunate, it's really not fair. But on a similar note, because of that, it just kind of put me in the mood, because The West Wing always makes me think of being at uni, and it was one of the shows that did help me get through uni, that and Gilmore Girls. The kind of the element of sort of applying yourself, of being studious, of being smart, of learning as much as you can, and you know, taking that as and your stride, and it also being like part of your personality too. So that put me back in the mood. Like I've not been able to find my mood like for dark academia. Like I've got like a pile of books that I want to read in a certain order, that I had planned to be for January. I really thought, excuse me, I really thought that with January that was going to get me into a dark academia mode, because that's usually the time when everyone goes back to uni after Christmas and New Year. It didn't happen this year, just through various things, so that I didn't really get that. I mean, partly as well, yeah, I'm not back at uni myself either. Maybe come September, that's when I'll get like really into it, but I've got all these dark academia books that I really want to get read. So I, thankfully, because of watching The West Wing, it did kind of give me that, you know, kick again. So I found myself going back into my pile of books and picking back up The Secret History, and I am still less than halfway through, and I think I started this book last March, and I did give it a good go, but I then had to put it down, because the irony being I had to put down dark academia books so that I could actually study and, you know, do my own dark academia thing. I love it. I really do love it. It is a book that I simultaneously want to tear through, but I also want to savour every moment of it and take it as slowly as possible. I love the kind of the dark aspect of it. Like, you can feel that there's something kind of sinister brewing from the very beginning. You've got all these weird kids that are all drawn to studying ancient Greek, because you have to be a special type of person to want to dedicate yourself to studying ancient Greek. With all the jobs that are going around right now that let you, you know, speak ancient Greek on a daily basis, it has to be something that is very much a vacation and not something that you're thinking is going to make you rich or anything. So I just, yeah, I love the fact that it is so dark and twisty, and the characters are all a bit iffy. Like, you're not quite sure if you like any of them. Like, they have their good points, but they're also a bit you know, sparse in their thinking, or not really conscious. Like, there's the whole Not really spoilers, but there's the whole scene where the university's closed from, I think from Christmas through to like March, and everyone else is away back home with families, or they're away travelling elsewhere to warmer climes, and our main character, poor Richard, has to take up shelter in some, I think it's like some dodgy loft that has got like half a roof and is cold and freezing, and he basically almost ends up completely hypothermic whilst he's living there, and then he travels to campus every day to conduct some other sort of research with another professor. All the while he's absolutely starving to death because he's got no food, no money, no nothing, and the fact that all the other characters left, I think one of them did sort of, you know, offer an invite, but it was just very much a kind of a cursory invite. So there's that, and then they did come back, and then they realised that, you know, he had been suffering, and then they realised after that. But it's just curious, like the idea that, I think that is a thing within academia as well, is that people do become so focused on like what they're doing and what their circumstances are. There can be a tendency to just assume that your circumstances are then the same for everyone else. So like if you've got the money to go travelling for the whole summer, that everyone else has also got the same, you know, prospects as well, that they're able to do that. And I know that's one of the things that I definitely struggled with at uni, doing a language degree, and the only time that I actually got to go to Spain was for my year abroad. Like I didn't get to spend like the summers prior to that like travelling abroad. I'm not somebody, like kids are great, but I'm not someone that's going to work as an au pair. I'm not going to go look after people's kids, which is usually the big option that a lot of people do go for, because it allows them kind of a free pass really to be in the place, learn to speak the language, but you can definitely you need to know how to actually look after kids as well. So I did struggle with that. That was a big thing, and then even like the subsequent years after leaving, after coming back from the year abroad as well, not getting to go back and travel to Spain, so that put me at a kind of disadvantage in terms of immersion, in terms of actually sort of improving my Spanish in that, because I had to sort of stay either at home or in Aberdeen to work in order to actually afford to live there for the rest of the year, and then work through the year as well. So you know, there's that kind of disparity, which I think there's for the most part there's always going to be things like that with universities. I hazard a guess to say it's probably getting worse now. However, there are probably better there are better online resources now than there were, say, sort of 10 years ago when I started. Was it 10 years ago? More than 10 years ago. 10 years ago I went to Spain for my year abroad, so yeah. I started uni 12 years ago. That's terrifying. So yeah, sorry for that digression, but yeah, The Secret History, like this, it's a classic for a reason. Obviously this came out early in the 90s, so there are things in it, there's words in it, there are name calling things in it that wouldn't pass muster now. It's of its time. You don't have to focus particularly on these things and accept that it is of its time, but still appreciate the story for what it is. The fact that this kicked off something that 30 years later is a massive publishing niche, has sparked off all these other, hundreds of books that are all dark academia. Started like, no, I don't think anybody could have predicted that it would come to this point, but it has. And yeah, so I've definitely got this to finish as soon as I can, but not rushing, but not rushing. We've got like a week left in February. I don't want to say that I will have this finished by the end of February, but we'll see. Another book that I have also been reading recently is Morgan Is My Name by Sophie Keach. The reason why I can't actually show you the book right now is it's one of a pile of books that are currently holding up my camera so that I can talk. It was purely because I, first of all, was in the mood for holding a hardback. I'm reading from a hardback. It's kind of a smaller format hardback, so it's quite easy. It's not as, you know, some of the books are just that bit heavier. So it was fairly easy to hold. I liked it because the writing was actually quite big on it. So that I could read it comfortably without getting too much kind of eye pain with it. I think I'm quite a good bit way through it. I think I've maybe got 100 pages left. I'm really enjoying it because I did start it before. I did start it a few months ago, but I wasn't completely in the sort of Arthurian medieval zone at that point. Like, I do love it. Like, that's my only other period or like modern history mythology that I love other than my ancient stuff. Is, you know, the tales of King Arthur, the Arthurian legend, Merlin, all of that, like that. That really appeals to me, like the swords, the horses, the battles, the castles. Yeah, that stuff really gets me. So I'm glad that it kind of came to me at the time. It's one of the things about being a mood reader is, yeah, sometimes that you're struggling to figure out what it is that you feel like, what you actually want to read, but when it works for you and when you are really in that zone and you find the book that matches what you're kind of craving for, like, it's perfect. And I love the character Morgan. I love the portrayal of Morgana in the Merlin BBC series, which I do remember when it came out. I did not watch it at the time. I think it was possibly on early Saturday evenings or something. It would have been at a time when me being a teenager, like, I just wouldn't have been in the house. I would have been out, so I never ever saw it at the time. Didn't have iPlayer back then. I knew at some point I would eventually get to see it, so I did watch that on Netflix. I think that was one of my lockdown shows, or maybe like within the last 2 years. It's hard to, the last couple of years, time just hasn't meant anything, so it's really hard to remember when you did anything. But I really loved Morgana in the Merlin series. So I was really excited about when this book was announced, that we're actually going to get to see Morgan, because there have been so many books that are Greek mythology retellings, Roman mythology retellings. It's not a bad thing, like, I love it all, like, it's great, but again, you know, ancient history, ancient mythology is far more wide-reaching than just ancient Greece and Rome. And there have been a few other books that have come out from other areas. Additionally, though, that we have started to see more from the male perspective as well. So we've got Argo, Jason and Hades trilogy by Mark Knowles, which I really loved. I've read Argo last year, I think it was, and I got Jason. Mark was nice enough to actually send me the paperback copy of Jason. So I've got that on my list. It's definitely getting read this year because I do want to get the Hades book also. But those were great as well. Really wanted to start to see something from, like, the other side, the male perspective as well. We've got also The Shadow of Perseus by Claire Haywood. So that was written from, initially starts with, you know, the story of his mother Danae, how she was locked in the tower, when there was a prophecy that the grandson would then kill the king, her father, and how then Perseus was born, raised, and his quest, as it were, to go and murder Medusa and get the head of a gorgon. So that was a different take on it. It was still good to see it from the kind of male perspective, but it was a very, very different take. The author talks a lot about that in the sort of end notes of the book. That it is, because it's subject to you know, the author's own thing. Like, these are not set in stone. People go on about canonical myths and things being kind of rigidly set in stone. They were not at all. So again, one of the big things that I argue for is that any mythological retelling is good. It is good in the sense that it is good that these stories are being published. It is good that these stories are getting out to a modern public, because they could pique interest. Like, you never know which side of a story, you never know which character is actually going to help to pique interest for people, to then maybe start to research like ancient history, to start getting into classics, to read some of the original source material for these mythologies and that, which I think is great. Like, this is my favourite, you know, realm to exist in. I'm so happy that I live at a time where I can access all this stuff. I have so many resources like this in the house myself, and I'm very much interested in getting this out to as many people as possible, because I know classics are for everyone. They shouldn't be gate kept. They shouldn't be withheld from people. It shouldn't be based on a class distinction. It shouldn't be you know, something that's used to divide people. These stories are for everyone. So yeah, I will argue to my final breath that, you know, all of these have merit and value inherently just for what they are. So I'm really excited that, you know, people will start to get into these. The story of Danae, Perseus and Medusa was my very, very, very first portal into the ancient mythology, into Greek mythology. That was the very first story that I learned about, and that started me on my way through classics. Like, it took, you know, 30 odd years to get there, and to get the degree eventually, but I don't care, because that's my thing. We've also got House of Odysseus by Claire North. I'm looking because my books are on the haul out there. And we've also got Herc by Phoenicia Rogerson. I haven't read either of those yet, but I will get to them again at some point this year. So those are more, again, from the male side of it, so it's still sort of Greek and Roman things. That's great. But we have Inanna. I'm trying to see. Yeah, we've got Inanna as well. I will, sorry, the lighting's gone now. I will post a picture here, including the author. So we've got Inanna, so that's going to Mesopotamia. And there is a book coming out this year about Gilgamesh. I think it's a novel retelling, I think, so it's a novelisation of the story of of Epic of Gilgamesh, which you can buy the Epic of Gilgamesh, you know, in book format just now, and it's what they've been able to transcribe and translate from the fragments that have remained of this Epic of Gilgamesh, which honestly is something I could go into a whole other video to talk about, so I won't talk about that too much here. But the point of what I'm trying to say is that there are so many great retellings that are out there, and I love the fact that we're actually starting to broaden the horizons and expand a good bit more now, because these are all great. Like, I think, yeah, everyone should get a taste of the classics at some point. Whether you discover it's not necessarily for you, I think there is still merit and benefit to everybody at least having a foothold in it, having a bit of an understanding in it. And I would 100% vote for a classical education to come back into the UK schooling systems. It's probably not going to happen, but I think it did provide so many benefits to people that they don't realise that we have lost all of this stuff in the pursuit of just English, maths and a science. So we need things for the soul too. Just trying to look and see. I've got, for the rest of the books that I'm wanting to read as dark academia, after I finish The Secret History, the next book that I want to pick up for definite is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. I know this book came out quite a few years ago at this point. It's one of the ones on the list, but I know that because it was quite inspired by The Secret History, I want to read that after I've read The Secret History, just so that if I'm comparing and contrasting at all, that I'll actually be able to see what came first, what came where, and then sort of just check it out that way. That's got the much more Shakespearean thing as well, which I think Shakespeare works quite well with the dark academia vibes. That goes kind of hand in hand. And again, Shakespeare, much like the classics as well, Shakespeare who also dabbled in the classics, but Shakespeare was very much for the people, not, you know, this thing that we use it for nowadays, where people use it as a sort of class distinction and who can quote the most Shakespeare, and you know, and it's like us and them again. Like, that's never what any of it was meant to be, neither classics nor Shakespeare. So yeah, go read your Shakespeare and enjoy it. After that, I think I've got 2 books by Laura Stephen. So we've got The Society for Soulless Girls and Every Exquisite Thing, and I think both of those are, or at least one of them, The Society for Soulless Girls, that is, I believe, definitely dark academia, and Every Exquisite Thing, maybe? I can't remember. I did buy these quite a few months ago, and they're over there and I can't get up to get them right now, so yeah. And then another book that I got as well last year when I was in Toppings in Edinburgh, was Gothicana, which, you know, just giving us a perfunctory look at that looks also to be a dark academia book. So I have those on my lineup, and one of the book subscription boxes that I get, no, it would be towards the end of last year, we got A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. That one is also a dark academia book, so I've got that on the list as well at the end of it. So I'm not getting through my list at all. I'm still stuck on the first book. Not stuck, but I'm still on the first book, and the TBR for dark academia just keeps growing, and I'm complaining, but I'm not complaining at the same time. So yeah, I don't care. I'm just excited to get all of these books read. I haven't been buying books this year, which is, you know, unheard of. We're at the end of February. The only books that I have bought this year were guidebooks, because I decided to just go wild and book myself my holidays to the places that I really want to go this year. So I just went to Waterstones at the beginning of January and got a bunch of guidebooks that I wanted to get, and the best part was that I had enough money on my Waterstones card to cover it, so I didn't actually pay for the books at all, and that's all I've bought. I think I've just kind of lost the edge on needing to keep up with absolutely every single book that's coming out, needing to get the special sprayed edges, and you know, I have to get this right now. Like, I'm going to buy it, but it's going to lie on my shelves for sort of 7 years before I ever get round to reading it. I did start to count up my list, my books that I have on all my shelves, not including my Kindle books. I got up to something like 820 books, and gave up out of sheer exhaustion trying to count them. There's still like another 2 full bookcases that I didn't count, and since then I've had quite a few other than book subscription books. I haven't been buying any books myself. So I've got Fairy Loot, Illumicrate, both YA, and I have Evernight is the horror subscription for Illumicrate. So I've had 2 books from them because they come out quarterly. So I've had 2 books from them, and then 1 book from each of the others over the last couple of months, and that's literally all the books that I've had coming in. So as much as I love like all the special editions that I've got, I know last year I was pretty crazy for like all the ones that I was rushing it to buy as soon as they came out, or pre-ordering so many books as well, but I just got a little bit fed up with some of the issues with getting things delivered, or some of the books that you were getting delivered and they were kind of bashed or not in a good shape when they actually got to you. Sorry. And yeah, just the kind of general raffle, because I'm in the office more, trying to actually get books delivered, try to get your deliveries, and you know, trying to, when you want to pick up a book and try to add on extra things so that you can actually get it delivered. I just got a bit fed up with all of that. And I know fine well that I have more than enough books that I want to get read. And even if, like last year, what did I do? I think I read 63 books or something, which is, you know, that's great in and of itself. It's considering that I was finishing, you know, doing my dissertation, I'd been studying the whole year and did so many submissions to make. That was pretty amazing, and working full time, I'm pretty happy that I was only seven books off my previous year. But the previous year so it was like 70, last year was I think 63, but I can pretty much guarantee that I bought probably more than 63 books last year, just through Waterstones having, like, I'm a sucker for like the triple points deal. Like, they offer like double points up to, you know, at a certain price, but if you spend like the 100 you get the triple points. I'm that person that'll be like, oh, I'll just spend £100. You get a ton of more books, go into the works, get a ton of books there, and I'm not complaining about any of it. Like, I've had the money to do it, I'm fortunate enough to be able to do that, and have the finances to back that up. It's just literally I'm at a point where I just feel that I'm kind of oversaturated with what I have. I know there are a lot of really good books that are coming out this year, but I'm just trying to be a bit more discerning about which books I want to get. I think there were a few books last year, there's quite a few books last year that were very, very hyped, and upon, you know, rushing out trying to get them and then reading them, it proved to not even have been worth it at all. And because I'm a mid reader, yes, but also because I do have a kind of idea of the books that I want to read this year, there's, you know, it does make it a bit unfair, like for some other books just to be, you know, it's really hyped, and yeah, that's going to supersede what I'm actually trying to do, like the list that I have set up and what I actually want to get reading. Whereas I'd rather kind of read the books that I want to read right now. If these other books do prove to be worthy, if it does live up to the hype, if the reviews do come in and are favourable for it, then yeah, I can pick them up. And I don't have any issues with, you know, paperbacks, so I'm not going to be that person that's like really upset because I didn't get this specific book. At least this year now I'm not. I think I've chilled out a lot more with it. Last year was great. I added a ton of really good books to my shelves last year. Lots of really pretty editions and that, and they're great. They're there. They're lovely, but I just don't feel the same need or compulsion to do that this year. As I said, like, I've got holidays coming up now. I've got a few holidays booked for this year because I did have, you know, I did have a really good solid think with myself about what I wanted from this year, and then one of the things that I want is to be able to do the things that I keep saying that I'm going to do. Like, I just haven't had time, like whether through you know, the last couple of years we're having COVID and everything being in lockdowns for such a long time, getting to grips with my job, and also then studying for the last 2 years as well. It meant that what free time that I did have, or what holiday time that I did have, that really had to be spent actually studying, because it was more difficult than I expected to work full time constantly, and have to study, and do work, you know, do classics work that you really need to have the time and the capacity to actually be able to focus on what you're doing for it. So this year, like, this is my year to actually finally get going to the places that I want to go, doing the things that I want to do. I have made a list. I like making lists, and I think it's a good thing to do. That if you find yourself talking about things that you're saying that you want to do, sometimes it's good to make that list and then figure out how am I going to put this into action, how am I going to actually get to do the things that I really want to do. So a couple of my big things for this year, other than just the holidays as well. So I'd wanted to get my hair done again. As you can see, it's a bit lighter than it was before. It has faded a good bit again, unfortunately, but I'm still happy with it. It was a really good dye that has a lightener in it to just step your hair up a good bit. So I like having my hair done. I'll get it done again in the next few weeks or so, so that'll be good. Also got my nose re-pierced again because I had it done years and years and years ago, and then got it taken out because I'd worked in a job that involved food, and they insisted that I take my nose ring out even though it wasn't one that could have fallen out at all. And the job didn't even end up lasting that long, and I really should have just got it put back in, but I didn't, and I let it close, and I felt quite miffed about that over the years. Like, I really missed having my nose ring, so it's got the bar in it just now, and later in the year I can go back, get it changed into a little hoop, and then it'll start to feel better. That was, you know, one of the things that I really liked having my nose ring years ago, so that's one. One of the things that I wanted to do, didn't want to keep talking about it anymore, and then just got it done. And then I've got the holidays as well, so I've got a nice chill out holiday coming up, back to a place that I absolutely adore in Italy, and mostly going just to chill the hell out, and there's going to be a little bit of something extra in it as well that I am really looking forward to, but that is mostly going to be an absolute chill holiday by the pool, chat to people in Italian, walk up and down the streets, pretend I'm, you know, on a catwalk or something. Not really, but yeah, I just want to go and have like the absolute best time by myself. I'll have my Kindle with me and just chill, read, eat amazing food, and then come back feeling really, really refreshed because I got to do something for me and enjoy it. Another holiday that I've got later in this year is to a place I've never been before. Really, really excited about going. I don't want to kind of say too much about them just now because they'll do more stuff closer to the time and then after I've been as well, but I'm really, really, really looking forward to going there. Obviously a little bit, you know, nervous about, you know, somewhere that I've not been ever, but you know, I've got guidebooks. I got the guidebooks I bought. I've managed to book in a lot of day trips and extra trips as well, to kind of help me get around and get to see more places too, and then obviously there's the joy of having like Google Street View, where I can sort of walk about and then try and get my bearings before I actually get there, which has actually proved handy in the past before, so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, so this year is all the things that I'm doing, all the things that I want to do, and that also includes doing more with this channel, just trying to get more stuff up. But obviously I can get too, I think most people can, but you get too sort of pressured into what is, you know, being perfect, like making sure every upload is perfect, making sure you look absolutely perfect for setting up, but that's not going to happen, not every time anyway, and I'll never get anything done. As I've realised over the last 2 months, I'm never actually going to get anything uploaded if I wait for me looking, you know, good, because it's so infrequent, and yeah, just kind of get over myself, get over whatever it is I think might happen out of it, and then just start doing the things that I actually want to do. So getting these videos uploaded before I lose my voice, sorry, and then yeah, get back to, I have a website and a blog as well, which I'm currently in the process of trying to figure out if I want to go for sort of separate hosting, or if I want to actually just sort of keep it the way it is, or if I actually want to use like a different service and site type altogether. I'm still debating that just now. I have started to post a wee bit more recently. It's very much this, but in text form. It's usually just rambles. Like, I'm not usually that type of person. I'm not going to sort of curate a perfect blog. My blogs were very much just whatever I'm thinking and feeling, kind of like just reading a journal. But given lots of updates and posts, I want to update and post more on that. Instagram as well, still trying to keep more up with that. I'm trying to start to work on scheduling more posts too, because I don't necessarily always have the time during the week to take pictures, fix them all, edit them all up and get it posted, get everything typed up. I'd rather kind of have that all scheduled in so that it's done. And I also have been blocking the Instagram app during the day from my phone, because the other night when I checked my screen time and it said I'd been on Instagram for 4 hours and I hadn't contributed anything, I wasn't doing anything, I was just mindlessly scrolling, which is not healthy. So yeah, I'm trying to limit my time to Instagram so that I'm actually using it for proper uploads and doing quick check-ins with people, but not just spending so much time doing it, because those 4 hours I could have actually been reading or listening to an audiobook, even bloody playing a game would have been a far more productive use of my time. So yeah, with that in mind, I can see that I have been rambling for nearly an hour. Yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna get this finished off here, I think. Yeah, I think we're pretty much done. I'm gonna yeah, I'm gonna try and have like a nice weekend this weekend. My latest crochet blanket is starting to come on quite well, and I know this YouTube is meant to have like my crafts in it as well as just the books, so I will try and see at some point if I can. I think it's already too big to fit in in one shot of screen, so I might try and see if I can get set it up and show you through using the tripod and that. So I want to start showing some more of the craft things too, and I also have a crochet page for Instagram, which again, like, I need to start planning more so that I can post more as well there. So I'll have everything linked down below in the description box. So before I completely lose what little voice I have left, I'm going to end this off here and get this up to you as soon as possible, and then I'm going to work on a nice weekend vlog of hopefully reading and book browsing and other things as well. So yeah, thank you very much. If you have got this far in it, thank you so much for watching, and maybe if you post like a book emoji or something in the comments, so that we were talking about dark academia and lots of books. So if you post that to let me know that you're here. If you've got any questions or that, please feel free to leave them in the comments also. And yeah, I'm just going to sign off here. I'm going to wish you a good rest of your day. And if you did like this video, please do give it a little thumbs up, and you can also subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and hit the bell so that you always receive every update that I get. And yeah, so I will see you in the next video. Bye guys!